Hi Hornets! Today we are going to be making a cute picture of an otter, and the otter will be swimming in the river otter. So we're going to need 2 pieces of paper, and the first thing we're going to do is make the otter on our first piece of paper. So I want to make sure I have it turned portrait style with the short sides at the top and the bottom, and I'm using a permanent marker to draw my otter, and then I'll be using washable markers and water to add color. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw his little otter head at the top, or her little otter head at the top, by making a line that curves over like a rainbow. I don't want the line to be too wide. I want to leave room on the sides. And then I'm going to make the entire otter's body go all the way to the bottom, or almost all the way to the bottom, but first I'm going to curve in a little bit here to make the neck and then back out. So starting here, I'm going to come in a little and then out and then straight down. I'm going to leave a couple inches at the bottom for the legs. Almost kind of looks like a little peanut. So there's my otter's body shape. Then I'm going to add 2 little ears on the sides. 1, 2. And I'm going to make the face. So right in the center of the head, above this neck area, I'm going to draw a nose, which is kind of triangle shaped, but I'm going to make the corners curved a little bit. And then from the center of the triangle, I'm going to come down just a tiny bit with a vertical line, and I'm going to make that line curve around and connect to the side of the triangle. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll add a little curved line here at the bottom to make the mouth. So inside this triangle shape for the nose, I'm going to add 2 little nostrils by making a tiny little spiral line, little loop. Then I'm going to draw the eyes. So in between the ears and the face, the nose and mouth there, I'm going to draw a line that curves over, kind of like a little rainbow on each side. And then starting at the top of that line, I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to fill it in with my marker, but almost all the way, leaving a little dot for the highlight. Okay, then I'm going to draw 2 little lines above the eyes, kind of like little eyebrows, and I'm going to draw a zigzag line from the tops of the head down to the sides of the nose. Make a little fuzzy part there, and then I'm going to add some whiskers. So all my whiskers are going to be kind of pointing down. So I'm going to start in the middle of this shape, and I'm going to point those whiskers kind of out and down. Next, I'm going to draw the arms. Now, this is going to be cut out and folded. So I'm going to start kind of where the neck is here, and I'm going to make the arm come diagonally down to the edge of the page and then curve around. And we're going to be folding these after we cut out the otter. So we're not going to add any details to them because we're actually going to add the details on the other side. And then at the bottom, I'm going to draw 2 little legs right at the bottom that curve down to the bottom of the page and then up. Now on the legs, I'm going to add 3 little toe marks at the bottom of each foot. And then I'm going to draw the tail kind of sticking out here. So I'm going to make it kind of curve out and around an S line to make a point. And then I'm going to do the opposite line on the other side. And I'm going to add a zigzag line there. Okay, so I am going to add a baby otter, because when otters float on their backs, a lot of times they float with their babies on their tummy. So I'm going to draw a miniature version of this here so that when the arms fold in, they're kind of hugging the baby. So I'm going to start with the little head, that curved line, that kind of rainbow line, making it a lot smaller. And then I'm going to draw the little otter body, kind of like that peanut shape. Now on this baby otter, I'm going to make the arms folding in. So they're going to curve in like this. And I'm going to add those little claw marks. Everything else will be almost the same. I'm going to add the little feet down here, sticking out to the bottom. I'm going to add a little tail with a zigzag. I'm going to add 2 ears on the sides. And the face is going to be slightly different, almost the same. I'm going to start with the nose and the little mouth. Make those lines that curve down. Add a couple whiskers. And then when I do the eyes, I'm going to make it sleepy eyes. So I'm going to make little rainbow lines for the eyes. And that's all I need for my baby otter. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut out my otter. Okay, now I've got my otter cut out, and the first thing I'm gonna do is fold the arms in. See, now my arms look like they're hugging my little baby otter. And depending on the angle you fold them in, they'll cover less of the baby. So if you've got your arms in a kind of a weird position, you can just change that crease line. So we're gonna add a few details to the arms once they're folded. We're gonna add those little claw marks here. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some color with marker, but then we're going to be blending it with water. So since my arms are going to be folded in, I'm going to unfold my otter. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the arms first. And on the arms, we're going to take now this is a washable marker. You want to use like Crayola markers, washable markers for this part. And I'm going to color the very tips of the paws, the arms, black. Then I'm going to add a little bit of brown next to that. Now when I flip my otter over, I don't need to worry about coloring the arms. I'm going to color everything else. So I'm going to continue using my brown. I'm going to color this section here. And we don't need to worry about perfect coloring because we are going to blend this with water. I'm going to color the ears brown. The nose will be brown, just the nose. And then I'm going to kind of color an edge around the whole face here. I'm going to go under. All right, so I'm also going to add the same brown around the edges of the body. I want to go all the way to the edge, but I don't need to worry about making this nice and neat on the sides there. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of brown here above the zigzag. And then I'm going to need my black for the tips of the feet, just like we did on the arms, and the tip of the tail here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on my baby otter. I'm going to add black to the tips of the feet and the tail. And then I'm going to add a little brown. And then I'm going to make my otter's face and body, I'm going to use gray instead of brown, so it just has a little bit of different color. So I'm going to color kind of down that fuzzy part here and the ears, and then around the edge of the body and the face there. All right, now his nose is going to be brown, just like Mama Otter or Daddy Otter, whoever you're making. And oh, I almost forgot my brown down here. Now the last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of yellow, kind of around the inside of that, all the brown. All the way around here, a little bit on the cheeks, and again I'm going to be blending all this together. All right, now if you wanted to, I've got a different brown here. I've got two different browns, kind of a lighter reddish brown. You can add some fur, some hair. So this creates a little bit of texture if we make little short lines that are really close together but not quite touching. If we space them out too far, it doesn't really look like hair. If we space them really close together, it looks fuzzy. And I'm going to do that on the legs, the tail, and I'm going to do the arms and the face here. But I'm going to flip the arms when I do the arms, because remember, we want to decorate the outside. All right, so now we're ready for our water. And I'm not adding paint here. I'm just going to blend my washable marker. And all I'm going to do is add water and use my brush to kind of blend. Now, the thicker your paper, the better this is going to work. So first I'm going to do my big otter. And I'm not worried about the colors kind of smearing because that's what I want. Just gonna blend those colors together. Now on the face, I'm gonna stay away from the mouth area here at first and just blend the outside. And then I'll do the mouth so it's just a slightly different color. Do my tail, my legs. I'm going to do my baby otter. And you probably want to let this dry before you flip the arms. But I'm going to go ahead and do it here for you. I'm going to leave my baby otter's mouth white. Now I would let this dry probably before I flip it, but I'm going to go ahead and do it so you guys can see how we're going to do the arms. I'm going to make sure they don't get stuck. And then I'm going to work on my background. So I'm going to let my otter dry. All right, for my background, I'm going to be making a river. So I'm going to use some watercolor. And if you don't have watercolor, you could use markers and water just like we did on the otter. But I also have some salt here. And usually when we use watercolor, we get a nice puddle going in the paint. And we paint it on and then we spread it out all the way. But today I'm not going to do that. I want to leave puddles on my paper. So I'm going to make sure that this water can kind of drip when I move it because I want to keep it puddly. And I'm going to use different blues, greens, and purples. Those are all of our cool colors to make water. And I'm going to kind of blend them together where they touch. And I want to complete a full section, you know, like this whole quadrant of the paper here before I add the salt. I'm going to sprinkle a tiny bit of salt in my hands. And I'm just going to sprinkle it on there. And I'm going to let that salt dry without touching it or painting over it. And then I'm going to move on to another section here until I get the whole paper finished. Okay, so now I've finished my background with my watercolor and salt, and I'm going to let that dry so the salt can kind of suck up some of the water and create that really cool crystal texture. And I'm also letting my otter and baby otter dry until I'm ready to put them together. All right, now that my two pieces are dry, I can work on putting them together. So you'll notice on the background paper, wherever you had salt, it kind of creates a little crystal texture where it dries. And you can actually take the salt off and that texture will still be there. So you might want to have an adult help you do this. I like to do it over a trash can usually, but I just kind of rub the salt gently into a pile on my paper. And then I kind of scoop up the salt and dump it into the trash. Dump it on this other paper here. And you can see that texture is still there even when the salt is gone. So next I'm just going to glue my otter onto the background. And then if you want, you can add some details to the background. So I'm going to use a glue bottle, but you could use a glue stick if that's all you have at home. And we want to remember, of course, dot, dot, not a lot. And you don't want to glue the arms. The arms we want to kind of fold. So just put a little bit of glue, nothing dripping. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to give my otter a little massage to help him stick. Whenever we paint papers, they get a little bit bumpy, kind of warped from the moisture, and they don't always dry flat. So we have to kind of help our otter stick to the background here. And I'm going to leave his arms open so that they're kind of 3D, sticking out a little bit. Now, if you wanted to on the background, you could add some neat patterns with crayon or oil pastel or even just another layer of watercolor. And I'm going to add some curved lines that kind of go around my otter and make it look more like water, more like he's floating or she's floating in the water. So I'll do cool colors still If you remember from our color wheel lessons, the cool colors are blues, greens, and purples. I'm just going to repeat this with a few different colors, and then I'm all done. And remember, if you don't have paint watercolors at home, you can make the same background using marker and water. It might not be quite as bright. You can also use food coloring. If you don't have paint, food coloring would work too. And now I'm all finished.